A strong message. And I want to begin from the side of education, and I want to ask you, why do you think that we're here this afternoon? Why do you think we're here this evening? Some of us coming out with a cane, some of us sitting in chairs on the side. There's no free food here this afternoon. There's no music, there's no, as they would say, there's no chicken leg and Johnny cake, but we're here. And we're here because we believe, all of us, we believe that this is a very important day, that this is an important occasion to mark. But someone once asked me, why do we bother to study history in the first place? Who wants to learn about things like past events and dead people, when our children can just simply go to school and learn about subjects like math and science and things that will make them get a job quick and make them rich? This is what one parent once said to me. I know that's a rhetorical question for you as well as it is for me, because you and I both know that to study our history is important, not just to give all of us this extra information about Bastille Day, or about Emancipation Day, about the Marigot Massacre, or even about St. Martin Day. Even if that information is sometimes incorrect, and sometimes even intentional. We ought to know that history should be studied because it is critical to the development of our society, and because it makes us better human beings. It is not only so that we learn from our past in order not to repeat certain ills, but it's also necessary in helping us to shape the kind of future we want for our society. I commend Suja and the rest of the Conscious Lyrics group. I commend Billy D and the rest of the SOS team for seeing the importance of marking this day in this special way this afternoon. I also applaud everyone here this afternoon for choosing to be part of this remembrance, because you and I, we understand how important this is to our future. And while we, in our own little way, continue to organize activities such as this one to ensure that our people keep the memories of our ancestors alive, we must also continue to push our decision makers to ensure that our history and our culture, our identity, becomes an integral part of our school curriculum. Our children must be able to study our history so that in this they understand how we are changing as a society and what from our past is causing what is currently taking place. A grounding in their past will enable them to learn from it and shape a dynamic future for all of us. I've always said I believe this is attainable with an education policy based on a triad of effective teachers, involved parents, and committed students working from a curriculum explicitly designed to mold the whole child, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and culturally. The enterprise of nation building in St. Martin cannot be carried out by ignoring the St. Martin national identity, which must be grounded in the St. Martin history and culture. The model St. Martin student should be a well-rounded child who is able to function successfully first in St. Martin, but able to study anywhere else in the world. If St. Martin is going to develop as a nation in which the St. Martin people rise to the top of a power hierarchy, there has to be a clear and efficient connection between the education system and the realities of the economy and the labor market. St. Martin must effectuate reforms in education on both sides of our island to reflect our people's cultural heritage and to fulfill our aspirations. The new education models for St. Martin must adequately prepare all of St. Martin's children, not just a select few, to reach their full potential. The St. Martin education system must recognize that not all students excel in all areas, but they must all be given equal opportunity to do so. The curriculum must also make subjects like history, science, economics, environmental studies, sports, and the arts compulsory. And St. Martin students should be required to read from a mandatory list of St. Martin and Caribbean texts throughout their education. But this can only happen if we insist on it. In the meantime, each of us must continue to do our own, to make our own contribution in ways like this afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Suja. Thank you, Billy D, for this opportunity. May God bless.
183 years ago, 38 of those slaves died right here in Marigot because of one thing. Not for money, not for gold, not fighting for who's a St. Martiner or who's not a St. Martiner. They were fighting for one thing, a simple word called freedom. A word that we have today when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed that deemed all men equal under the eyes of God. Today we can celebrate the freedom that we have today. But we must not forget where we have come from as a people. And we must realize, as good as things may seem to us today, the struggle continues. There is a lot of work to be done. And we must continue this struggle and uplift our own people in this country, because this country will be doomed if we are not in control of the basic economics of this country, the basic finances of this country, and the basic social system in this country. We will be doomed. We cannot rely on anyone else to do something for us anymore. And this is where I say the fight continues. The fight continues today. It will continue tomorrow. We must be aware. We must be aware and give the thanks and praise to those who have sacrificed, paid the ultimate sacrifice for that word called freedom. There are three colors that are used in a lot of flags that represent that freedom. Red, gold, and green. The green is for the land. The gold is for the gold that they came for, and the red is for the blood that shed in that land. And that blood is the blood of the only race in the human race that is discriminated on today, even today, because of the color of their skin and not the contents of our character. We are discriminated on because of the color of our skin today. So there's a lot of work to be done.
At his office, and we spoke about this event. We spoke about this area here. As a matter of fact, we spoke about the entire street. You see, in our books, in our belief, we don't think that if our ancestors die on these grounds and our people build this country, that anyone should name our street Boulevard de France. We strongly believe that this boulevard should be named after the people who have died, the people whose blood is still under these grounds. Since we don't know the names of those people, then this name should have a reflection of what the true history and the true culture of St. Martin signifies. So, when we're leaving from here, leave from here knowing that this is just a first step towards what we want to achieve. And what do we want to achieve? We want to continuously recognize the people who have made it possible for you and I to be free. How are we going to do that? We're going to rename the streets of St. Martin's and in the honor of those ancestors. We're also going to erect something on these grounds in the honor of those ancestors. And I strongly believe, and this is just my opinion, this was not discussed with nobody, but this is Shujarefu's opinion, that this day, September 26th, should be named St. Martin National Heroes Day. To me, that would mean a lot to the ancestors who died on this day. You see, every freedom-loving people have recognized the value of their ancestors. So St. Kitts have a National Heroes Day. Jamaica have a National Heroes Day. Haiti, which we all criticize, know they are heroes, and they too have a National Heroes Day. we are yet to establish something so significant for the ancestors. So I am saying here today, with your assistance, we are willing to take the message to the relevant authority to tell them that we cannot continue treating our ancestors like they didn't exist. Now you could do this, what I'm going to explain to you now. You could do it yourself. I did it, and you could do it too. You see, I believe that the St. Martin people have the gratitude attitude. I believe that you, the St. Martiners, always were taught to say thank you when somebody do good for you. But we have recognized that the ancestors who labor, who died, whose blood we are standing on, were not being thanked significantly for their contribution. And let me give you a case in point. I knew this, but I went to the fort a couple days ago to re-verify this. And you could do the same like me tomorrow morning, and you could do it tonight too. Walk to the fort and read the text that is written on the fort. It is written who was king and who was governor when the fort was being built. No way in those texts it was written that the slaves, the enslaved blacks of St. Martin built the fort of Marigot, built the Hammer the Pump Bridge, built the jail, built all those things that was built during the evil period of slavery. Their name is not recognized nowhere there. And you know the worst part about it? They were not being paid when they did it, and they are not being recognized today. But let me say this. It was not France that write that text that is on the Fort Hill, you know. It was not no French governor from France who wrote that text that is on the Fort Hill, you know. It was our elected official who selected to write that text that is on the Fort Hill. What we need to do, and I have always said this, we have the best publishing house in the Caribbean residing right here in St. Martin through the person of Mr. Lasana Sekou, and I think he deserves a round of applause. His work is being recognized throughout the Caribbean. His work is being recognized in universities in Europe and the United States. And when we write in a text of such great significance, we prefer to leave somebody else dictate to us what our history is without asking our best minds to write that text in respect of the ancestors who built that fort. So I am saying, let's go up, rip down that text, ask Mr. Lasana Sekou to write a new text and put up on that wall up there that the ancestors labored and worked and did not get paid, and they got killed right here in the street of Marigot. And that's what we're supposed to be doing when we leave from here. Those are the things that are going to make the difference in terms of building nationalism. Those are the things that are going to make the difference in recognizing the freedom of the freedom that our ancestors fought for. To me, if we have the courage to do that, then we really got the gratitude attitude. That gratitude attitude is going to take us a long way. So September 26, 2014 should not go down unnoticed. It should not go down like as if nobody died. It should not go down like no sacrifice was made. It should go down with respect to the folks who made it possible for all of us, descendants of those people who died, who are standing here today. It should go down that we adore that struggle and that we want to do something about it. So let's join hands, let's join forces and make sure that labor of the ancestors who did not get paid, they were being whipped for building the fort. Let's make sure at least in one of the lines on the fort that it was being mentioned in that text that they worked for free and we still did not recognize them.
This land for we. So every darling, every pelican is made on. Every rock stone in the gut, every blade of grass is made on. The flamboyant tree that bloom in June and July is rezoned. Every slave wall that is still standing is rezoned. Even the dance Panam by Mayor Lewis from Freetown, that too is rezoned.